So I found this in the summertime, but I just didn't get to it in the summer. So I didn't get to it until the fall. But I this is what made me want to, have that extra time during the summertime. So I'm so glad I did though.
And what was your first class like?
Oh my gosh, that's been so many classes since then. It's hard to remember what my first class was like. Well, I was very intimidated. I'll say that because just even though you go through the interview process, you don't really get an idea of what each child is like, although they do their best to try that to make it that way, as a teacher, each child is different. So you don't really know what kind of child you're going to get. If they're going to be shy, or if they're going to be like in your face and loud, or so I was really intimidated at first, but the more you do it, the easier it comes, and it's easier to learn how to roll with the punches.
I say especially once you get your regulars too, and you know what to expect with each class. It shows up on your schedule.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, when you saw this online, I'm assuming you were you like looking for it, or did someone tell you about it? Like,
Well, I didn't know anything about Palfish, actually. I only had heard about another company that's a little more, that pretty much, if you're in this game, that you've heard of, you know.
yeah.
So from learning about that one is where I came to Palfish, and I actually was going to start out with that company, but there were things that I had seen that I just didn't care for. So, and then I came over to Palfish, and I compared the two, and I decided to go all in with Palfish.
I think those are the key words, going all in. I really think that that's what makes a successful teacher is when they put their mindset when they put themselves in that mindset, like I'm going all in and failure is not an option. This is going to
Yeah.
work and I have to make it work. So, what were your expectations? What did you think was actually going to happen? What were you honestly expecting to happen?
Well, if I'm being honest, I thought, man, I'll try this for a little while. And if it doesn't work out, or, because I never had taught online before, I had no idea what to even expect. So I didn't really expect that it would work for me. And like once you start, you have to build, I mean, you're marketing yourself. So you have to build up your own clientele. And Palfish is really good about throwing you a bone too. I mean, if you put the time in and you're willing to do the work, they will help you out. And I think for me, that's where I just decided I'm done with my day job. I am all in on Palfish no matter what. Like from now, I'm substituting. I'm not even using my degree. I'm substituting. I'm not teaching third graders anymore.
Oh my gosh. So this summer when you said you're going all in, you like legitimately
Yeah,
went all
I put
in.
it all in.
So this
Yeah.
is your main job, and what was
Yeah.
your main job is now your side hustle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of funny. So we talked about like your expectations. How did that meet your expectations? Like what actually happened?
Okay, so I don't know financially how you like, how this you want this to go, but
Whatever
financially.
whatever you are comfortable with sharing, you don't have to overshare. Whatever you are comfortable with being out there.
Okay, so I'll just say it like this. In the first month, I started on the 18th of September. So I started when there was a holiday going on, and I didn't get classes for almost 2.5 weeks. And I mean, that's no classes. That's like I got a trial or two, and then holidays started and I didn't get any classes. So my first paycheck was like $38. So I'm like thinking, holy cow, what did I just do? Oh my gosh, I really just hurt myself really bad. I quit my job. So then the next month comes, and I I made pretty good money. It wasn't quite $1,000. It was a little under. Actually, it was a lot under. It was around $700. So I was like, well, this is getting better. I can put the time in. I'll be all right. And then it just only kept getting better from there. But there are times where like now when they go on holiday, you can't help that. It's gonna happen, and you lose appointments, but others come in their place, and um you just have to keep putting the time in. There's no breaks, there's no stopping. You can't just say, oh well, I got my regulars, I think I'll just take a break from doing moments or lives. No, you don't do that, because if you do that and those students go somewhere else, then what do you do for those students that you just lost? I feel like you always have to market yourself, always, at least for me. That's the way it works for me,
Yeah.
and
What's
I'm
your
pretty
favorite
happy.
way? What's your favorite way to market?
I like the lives. I think that's the best for me. I like being able to get on and talk about something silly or read a book in. Right now, I'm doing these series of Goosebumps books. Oh my gosh, the kids love them. I didn't think that they would really interpret it well. Like, I didn't know how the horror genre would come for them, but they freaking love it, and I love reading them. So it's really good. Like, the interaction that I get with them is fun.
Now, I do have to say that for I think a lot of teachers when they go on there and they do a book reading for a live, um, they're not successful with the book reading lives because a lot of teachers do not teach it like a classroom. What do you bring into your lives that help showcase your teaching ability?
I think it's the way that I talk. I like to break down the characters, I guess. I don't know. I found the most successful that I've had in lives is doing not just the book readings, but the cookings. Like, kids love the cooking ones. Like, that's the all time favorite. But if you're gonna do a book reading, I think it's definitely to you have to elevate your voice. You know what I mean? You can't just read a book and read a book. You know what I mean? You have to put yourself into it. You have to put some soul into it.
Someone before told me that what we are is edutainers. We are
Yeah.
educators that entertain. So when you are doing a live or a class or anything like that, you're not just teaching, you're entertaining. You have to treat it like Sesame Street, treat it like a little
Yeah.
kid's show. Yeah. Yeah. So last month you did extremely well, especially for being, a super fresh teacher that is still learning how to navigate the app.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you wanna talk about that?
Yeah. So, okay. So I was featured as a featured teacher, and if you know anything about being a featured teacher, they usually get featured maybe a week, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. So I was featured all of 6 days. I was featured 6 days, and like I said, it was because the holiday was getting ready to come. But as you're featured, you're not the first one featured. Like, they're constantly featuring new teachers, so you're pushed back to the back of the line. So again, you just don't stop. Because you're featured, you don't stop marketing yourself. So I didn't stop doing what I normally did, and I made it to number one. And then in for 2 days I was number one, and then after that 2 days I was kicked to number two, and remained number two throughout the rest of the month, through the whole rest of the month. And I was featured in the first week. So yeah, I did really well. I think I did something like oh over 300 classes. So
So
that's
the number one teacher has been a teacher since December of last year, and he has been the number one teacher for probably about 9 months straight. And these are teachers that, the teachers that are in the top 10, they work extremely hard and they've got a really big following. And I think that that's really impressive that you put your mind to something and you just did it. Like you did everything and you got up to his level, to the number one teacher level in such a short period of time. That's why I'm so impressed with this. And I wanted to, talk to you
Well,
about it
thank
because
you.
it's just, yeah, I think it's amazing that you didn't take no for an answer, you know,
Yeah.
like this is going to
No,
work.
yeah, and I didn't really know for sure how to become a featured teacher. But I took every advice I could from, anybody that was willing, like you and admins, like when they would get on and make their videos or whatever. I went back through all their training videos. I studied all of it. I researched all of it. So I took every little bit of advice that I could from the people that are successful and that know what they're talking about, and I applied it and kind of put my own twist on it, and it ended up working out for me. So I was
Well, it
pretty
worked
pretty
out for you because that's exactly what it's meant to do. The teachers that are successful are the ones I've always seen this. The teachers that are the most successful are the ones that really like treat this like they're running their own business and that they have to do things. I can't if I open up a new store or a new boutique and um I can't go and ask the person next to me what they're doing because what they're doing is something different. They have a different target market, they have different customers, they have, you know,
right. Hmm.
it's going to be completely different. That we have different personalities as teachers, so different things work for different people. So lives are something that works, that works really well for me. A lot of people have a reading app that works for them. It really depends on what works for you. So you take all the advice that you can, and that's what you did, and then you figured out what worked for you. Like you didn't know you were doing it, but you basically created a marketing plan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah, that's really awesome. So now you've been teaching for what, like 3 months now, right? You've
Hmm.
been a teacher for 3 months, and for 2 of those months you have been in the top 5,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You've taught a lot of classes, right? Do you know how many hours you have off the
I
top of your
have
head?
410 right now.
410 hours. And I know you must work some crazy hours, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
hours did you have to work to get to be the number 2 teacher?
I was open all the time. I never closed any hours ever, ever. Okay, so let me tell you a funny story. So my husband and I decided in my first month that we were going to take a little couples getaway for a weekend, and we went to a casino that was um it was one state over from where we are, and we went with his parents. Well, I didn't take time off, and it was just a spontaneous trip. So I wasn't going to cancel classes. I just wasn't going to do it. So if it came down to not going or just taking my classroom with me in a portable way, I wasn't going to go if I couldn't do it. So I took a Ninja Turtles blanket, and I went to the bathroom of the hotel and I put it up behind me, and I took my props and I had my tripod and I taught in the bathroom. So
I remember you showing me the pictures of that actually. I
y-
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it worked. It did well.
Yeah. I sometimes now you will know eventually you're going to have to settle into a schedule, right? You do know this, right?
Oh yes, yes, for
You
sure.
can't keep doing this forever. You're going to burn out. Especially
Yeah,
you're on Eastern Standard Time, right?
yeah, uh-huh.
Okay. So um just like in the future, just know once you have your base up and you're at a comfortable level, kind of like stick to your business hours and don't really work outside that unless you're
Right.
like an exception, because that's how teachers get absences. So
Yeah.
don't push yourself too hard. If you feel yourself starting to like not want to wake up or getting really cranky during the day, kind of like you know
Right.
negotiate with yourself a little bit. um
Yeah, I think actually I think and I'm nowhere near the 80% to where I could stop getting trials, but I think what I want to do now is start cutting back I want to set hours. I think I'm at a point now where I can do that
I
and
think so
still
too.
be comfortable.
I definitely, you're the number two teacher, I think, is safe doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. And when I worked for VIP Kid, I did the same thing. I had all my hours open, and it was a little harder with VIP Kid actually, because their schedule, it didn't fill in as like fluidly as it did here. So like I'd have like a class at like 1:30 in the morning, and then a class at 2:30 in the morning, a class at 3:30 in the morning, then 4. And I'm like, what am I going to do for a half an hour here? Like I can't even have like a couple hours like together that didn't book, that that where I could actually take like a nap or something in between.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I burnt myself. And I don't do very well. I am not a very nice person when I don't have sleep or coffee.
Yeah.
So I mean, it got to the point where I was teaching a VIP kid, and I was like seeing shadows of like ghosts and stuff. I was so sleep deprived. Like it was ridiculous. I don't recommend, like, make sure you get sleep. You need sleep. Um,
Yeah.
but then when I got into Palfish, it was really nice because my schedule started filling in a lot more fluidly.
Right.
And now I started Palfish and VIP Kid at the same time, so um, it's not like I went from one to the other. I kind of just like, as one would close, I open close open close. You know what I mean? So I was working both at the same time.
Right.
But I had decided that I like Palfish better for reasons, and said I'm done with VIP Kid. I'm going all in on Palfish. I know I don't get many classes with Palfish, and it was because I didn't have any fixed slots. So by that time, I had worked, let's see, December, January, February, March. It was either March or April. I had been there for 3 or 4 months, and I had 0 fixed students because I didn't have any fixed classes. I had 0 regular students. I relied on trials, which you know how that is. I had a very
Right. Yeah.
consistent schedule. I might work like 5 classes this week and 10 classes the next week and 1 class the next week. So after I'd been here for 4 months, I decided I'm leaving VIP Kid and going to this. Oh,
Sorry.
no, it's
That's
okay.
my son.
Oh, no, it's
Sorry.
okay. I was like, I'm leaving VIP Kid and I'm going to this company that I'm getting 0 hours for. And it was a little nerve wracking because, like, what am I going to do?
Ah!
It's okay.
Run! Sorry. Hang on.
No,
Run! Oh, sorry, Jillian. Hang on.
you're okay. You're okay.
My son's trying to call. Run!
I
Hey,
see.
call Logan. I'm on my interview. Call Logan.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just like, well, um, I have to make this work because this is what I decided. And it was like a big, hairy, scary thing to put myself out there and make this decision.
Yeah.
But I had done the same thing. I said, okay, the first weekend I'm open up all my slots, and I'm going to do this on the weekends, open up all my slots and just work myself. I literally had to do that for 1 weekend. I never, the first weekend that I decided I was going all in, I did it. After that, I said no. And now I have my hours set where I don't work past midnight. I have a very set deadline. I will not work past midnight because now I'm on a consistent schedule. I go to bed at like 11:30 midnight. I wake up at like 4, sometimes 3:30, depending on like when my classes start. It's only a couple hours, but then I get to take a little nap while the kids are in school, my baby naps, and it works out very, very smoothly.
Yeah.
And then there are days where I go, that's only on the weekends. The rest of the day, the rest of the time, I can go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever I want to go to bed. Fridays and Saturdays are, basically split shifts. So it's a little harder, but I have that set like that. I will not open classes before 4 a.m. I will not open classes after midnight. And I sit at the 80%. So I don't get trials. I haven't had trials in months. That's kind of sad but I have a healthy schedule right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
you're at the point where you could do that too.
I have a question. So, like, how is it? What advice can you give for people that do trials? Like, what is an easiest way to get your conversion rate up? I have watched the training videos. I have done almost everything I can think of to reel them in, and I don't know. My conversion rate sucks, frankly.
Oh, well, when I decided I was going all in and I taught all that and I had all those trials, it was all trials because I had no regular students. I sold 12 packages my first month of doing that. Um, right now my conversion rate is sitting at a very, very beautiful 0% because I haven't
Well,
because
yeah.
no, it reset once they made the new trial rules, and you're ranked now. So I'm in a very pretty 0% because I haven't had a trial at all.
You're right. Yeah.
But what I always do is I always relate. I try to relate to the student, and I try to relate to the parent and really involve everybody that's there. If the student is, and I don't just teach the class, you have to recognize that you're actually working with a living, breathing person that has interests and feelings. And um, so, like, say there's a kid that's like, down here like this, you'll see that a lot, right? They're down there playing with something. Well, I don't just keep teaching the class. I'm interested now in what they're doing.
Right.
What is that? Can you show me? That's a panda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll take their toys and I'll involve their toys into the classroom. And, just little things like that can really build that relationship, and it can help the students come out of their shell more too. Um, that's one of the ways that I do it. Um, the another thing that I like to do is you always, try to involve the parents. If you're teaching, for example, if you're teaching body parts and mom is holding her little 4-year-old kid and you're doing eyes and nose and mouth, ask them where mom's nose. Where is
Ah,
mom's mouth? And then they'll touch mom's mouth and mom's involved, and it's not just a class anymore. It's something that mom actually sees and feels how it works. You're incorporating the different senses into it. You're getting the kids moving. You're getting the parents involved. And it just kind of ties it all together in a nice little package with a bow.
right.
After class, I always send a message. I don't ever copy and paste, which was really, really hard to do when I had so many trials and I was relying on trials, but it was definitely worth it. And I always make sure that I'm not sales, and I don't ever try to come off as sales. It's never buy a package, sign up for classes, anything like that.
Right.
It's just, hey, I saw you in class today. I had a really, really good time with Bobby, and it was, I tried to pull something in a fun way into my private message to them. Now, this is separate from the feedback. This is separate from
Right.
the trial report. But so say they had their panda. Okay. I might say, like, it was so nice to see Bobby and Panda today. Like, just something like that that proves that you're kind of a real person that's interested. And then I always say, welcome to Palfish. I feel that, and this goes into like other training that I've had, totally unrelated to Palfish, but I feel that when you come at somebody with the mindset that they've already devoted themselves to it, that they've already bought, that they've already, it kind of puts that kind of feeling into them. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Mhm.
I hope you'll join Palefish has a different feeling to it than welcome to Palefish. I'm looking forward to seeing you in class today, or I'm looking forward to seeing you in class again, instead of like, I hope you sign up. I hope you join. I hope to see you again. I always give it that positive. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right.
Welcome to Palefish, and I can't wait to see you again.
Okay.
So just like a personal message, not sales. You're coming at them as a friend, as a teacher, as an actual person that doesn't care. They've already bought, as far as you're concerned, they've already bought a package, and like, don't even worry about that. You're not sales.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I'm sorry. I'm totally turning this around. I don't mean to be doing that.
No, you're okay. You're okay. If you have questions, you can ask them. It's fine.
So what do you do when you get asked by a head teacher to come outside of your hours? What do you do?
Um, well, it really depends. When I was trying to build, um, I would do everything in my power to uh, make that head teacher happy, because I have, um, you say you do a live and a head teacher sees you and they're like, oh, I really like that teacher. I want to give her some of my students. And she tries to schedule a class with you, and you don't accept it. She's going to move on to the next teacher. Now you accept it, you work with her, you do everything in your power to make it work, whether it's to change it a half hour before or later if you have to, like say like I can't do that time, but I can do this time. Sometimes there's a little flux, you can like adapt to it. You can work together and like negotiate the times if the parents are okay with a different class. Um, Sometimes the parents really want you. But if you work well, those head teachers are going to send you more students. So if it's a head teacher request, I am much more likely to accept it. I haven't had a head teacher request in a while though, because all of my peak hours are booked and I don't really think that they're, I mean, I'm usually sitting at like 160 classes every 2 weeks. So
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I wish. I was at 140. I'm down to now, as of this morning, after classes were over with, I'm down to 91. So
it is slower right now because of the testing
yeah,
holidays. March is going to pick back up. Probably the end of February, it's going to pick back up, like mid to end of February, and you'll be slammed again. I think my classes right now are sitting at like 140. So I lost about 20 classes, like 10 classes a week.
yeah.
It's normal. It'll pick back up. So I guess, I mean, with like 100 classes, at least you're not like totally overwhelming yourself right now. It's a nice little
No,
breather.
no, yeah. Yeah, I am definitely getting some time. And even with today coming in at number 3 today, I'm really shocked about that because, uh there are other teachers that have way more classes I would have thought. But I mean, I guess if everybody's losing students right now, it's kind of
Well,
hitting everybody.
it's not that they're losing students. It's that
I mean,
yeah,
vacationing, whatever.
the education in China is extremely competitive. So when it comes time for testing, these students need to really, really, really hone in and like focus on what's important at that moment, and then they'll pick back up afterwards.
Right.
I mean, some of these kids are going to go on vacations, and next month you're going to be teaching in airports and subway stations. You're going to be teaching on the bus. You're going to be teaching in cars with kids that aren't buckled. You're going to be teaching, yeah, walking down the streets. I mean, you're going to see some really, really fun classes next month when they all start traveling, and it may be slower then too. It really depends on if your students just happen to travel a lot or not, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
All right. I'm done.
okay,
Sorry.
so um what hours do you think book for you the most?
Uh,
Beijing time.
Definitely between 3:30 and 7:30. Definitely those hours, and probably more so 4 to 7:30 is when I'm constantly busy
Yeah,
through those
yeah, I would
times.
say that too. All right, oh, give me a second. Okay, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that too.
Yeah, I
So
usually don't have any breaks in between 4 and 7:30.
has it been like that this week? This week I've had a lot of breaks this week.
This week, this week during the weekdays, I've had quite a few. But the weekend, like today, I was from the time of 2 till like 8:30. I didn't let up at all. But also keep in mind, like I had 2 free talk students in there too.
It was good talking to you, and I will see you later. Here, wave to her. Use your hand.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Ah! Ah!
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.